Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I haven't done a therapy session in a while. I feel pretty good. I've had some bad stomach days, but I ate some Mexican food a few days ago, and even though I told them to take the cheese off or the beans, I think they may have cooked the cheese into the beans or something. I don't know, but that was one of the worst reactions I've had to the Mexican food. So I don't know if it was a different cook. It probably was. Maybe you put a little more of the seasoning in there. I don't know what it was, but maybe it was bad chicken. Whatever it was, it's been bad for me. So my struggles digesting food have been a problem for a couple of years now. There's nothing new, but it hasn't, like I always say, it hasn't stopped me from doing anything. I've still been doing everything I got to do, adjusting to the schedule, of course, because it was daylight savings time. What do they say? The end, I guess. Spring forward, fall back. So yesterday was one of the longest days anybody's ever had in their lives. Seems like you wake up and it's early. You get in bed and it's early. Go to sleep, wake up, it's still not midnight. Like, it was a long day, but it wasn't a bad one. I enjoyed my fantasy football stuff, even though I had some bad luck with fantasy football, because one of the players that they said initially all week long was questionable, they announced that he was gonna play 2 hours before the game. So I hurried up and put him on all my rosters, and I own him quite a bit. It's Robinson from the Washington team. And then game time, he's out. And so I'm like, dude, I had it set up for him to be out all week long just for them to tell me bad information that made me reset my lineups. And I lost most of those games, and it was a lot of games. So I've had a bad fantasy week, man. And then furthermore, Denver's defense has been the best defense in fantasy all year long, but they played the best offense last night, and I didn't take them out the lineup being ornery. I'm like, they'll overcome. No, they didn't overcome. They were negative. So I just had a bad fantasy football week, to be honest with you. I've been really good this season. I've been having a very good season, but I lost a lot of games yesterday. And as you guys know, if you follow me, fantasy basketball and football, I overdo it. I have a lot of teams on both sports, a whole lot. So I've been keeping up with them all too. God has made it so that I have the time to do it. So I've been having a great time with fantasy this year in both sports, but boy, was yesterday a bad fantasy football week. Terrible, even. So yeah, that was fun. But what else has been going on, man? These early basketball games, the Lakers on the road, I really hate those. I hate them bad. And today the Lakers play at 4:30. I did a pregame video for that game tonight, so I encourage all the Laker fans, if you care about that, check that out. But because of it, coupled with the hour change, I'm thrown all the way off. So like right now it's like 12, I think, something like that. 11:30, which all intent and purposes is 12:30 while we're still getting used to it. The game starts at 4:30, which would actually be 5:30 if you're following me. So hour-wise, I'm all thrown off, but I do know that I have at least enough time to go pick up some things. I got to buy some apples and stuff like that from Target. Maybe even stop at Traders to get some rice. So that's my intention, is try to handle all of that and then get back on this side of town in time for the game. So it's hard to tell if I'm off schedule. This is probably the time I would normally do it anyway, if this was the type of schedule it is. But since I've been able to not worry about getting home early all summer long, this is just the beginning of the season. So this is kind of like rushing home, for Bible study, which gave me a little bit of a guise of what kind of timing I had throughout the course of the summer, because on Sundays I'd have to do that. So, and Bible study was great yesterday, by the way. It was one of my favorite sessions that we had. It spoke of a concept that I hadn't heard many times, but kind of is in the back of my mind, which is when people falter on being good people and ultimately fall to the wrath of the Lord, we're not supposed to celebrate, but more so view them as soldiers who've fallen off, casualties of the spiritual warfare that we're in, and we're not necessarily supposed to celebrate them getting their comeuppance, but more so mourn the idea of one less soldier in the fight against evil, and someone that's going to be lost. So I don't know. I mean, that concept was really important, because we live in a world where we want to see people get their comeuppance, in the get back world, and you see some of the evil stuff going on in the world, and what you want to see is wrath. But we also talk about the concepts of not wanting to double down on the evil that ultimately harms. Or letting the devil convert you into the very evil that ultimately you're angry at, or turning you into the monster that ultimately you hate, or whatever the case may be. They try to fight fire with anything but fire, really. And so to be consistent in that area aligns with that lesson, in a sense that you don't want to celebrate people who are lost, because you need all your soldiers. And when it comes to the battle of good and evil, the evil is taking a lot of people. So while we, in our natural minds, in the culture of what we've made normal in our lives, we celebrate when people get their comeuppance. You celebrate when Diddy get caught. You celebrate when Epstein goes down, or anybody that does any evil. You know what I mean? You celebrate that naturally within what it is that we think is normal. But the reality is that's not necessarily the way Christianity is trying to teach its people how to receive that type of thing. That's not something to really celebrate. You actually mourn that because you lost one. So that's a concept I hadn't heard too many times, but it kind of aligns with what it is that I believe. It's not something I practice very much, but it may be something for me to start shooting for in regards to my own mindset and compassion. But I'd be lying if I said I'm there today. I'm not there yet, but at least the concept is in my head. So that's the type of thing we're thinking about, man. Really enjoyed that session with my uncle. Talking about different types of love. He mentioned the 3 types of love. I only remember the names of 2 of them. Philia, which is friendly love, or from Philadelphia, what they say, the city of brotherly love. That's what it is. It's friend love, brotherly love. And then agape is the love of God, the greatest love. And then the other one is something that you would have with your family. I don't remember the name of that one. And then it's the one you have, of course, in your relationship and love life. And I don't remember the name of that one either, but like 4 different types of love or what have you, which were talked about as well. So I just took a lot from yesterday's Bible study, and just the concepts that were in mind, man. So that could stay with me from here on out. But there's a lot of stuff going on, man, and different things that we've been paying attention to as well. So many things that I haven't spoken about because I've been focused on the Lakers, some of which we've talked about because they tie into the Lakers, believe it or not. One of the players we got on our team is acting a little crazy about 3 years ago, man. Got into a little domestic situation, and I kind of discussed that, man. But, at the end of the day, we were still waiting for the fallout of that situation. And since I've already discussed it, it's not something I really want to discuss right now, but maybe I'll circle back at a later date. But I just don't think that one is one of the ones that I'm most focused on today. Something else that kind of ran across my desk, so to speak, was DJ Envy's situation with, Halloween celebration. He had his entire family redo the Crush on You video from Lil' Kim, which is a classic written by the late great Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., and the whole situation with Diddy and how that ties into that era and just how much we are paying attention to in regards to Diddy and the things that he's been accused of. And then, you fast forward to see what Envy's doing. Essentially, he had his 8-year-old daughter play Lil' Kim in the Halloween dress up. And Lil' Kim in that video had a 2-piece on with like a fur coat over. A fur coat, but the 2-piece was showing. And so he put his little girl in this, as well as all of the other outfits that Lil' Kim wore. But the one that was most frustrating for a lot of us and then appropriate was the one that he had in that fashion. So, he's been getting some terrible feedback naturally, and I thought about it and listened to some commentary about it, and I just think that there's a lot of different things to say, but the most important thing to say is this is not a world where you want to do that and then show it to the whole world. And that's what it really comes down to. Hey, buddy, they don't want to do that because there are a lot of sickos in this world who are not going to respect that this is an innocent child trying to do something cute for the family. And that's not the world you're in. And I know that's the world that y'all want us all to see, when something like that gets plastered on our screen. But you also understand that we're going to say that there's a deeper understanding that you want us to believe, which is that it's normal for this to happen. And as if we're not supposed to acknowledge that there are people out there who would take advantage of such situations. And that's not cool. You know, it's a lot of different thoughts that come to mind for me, especially with everything that I'm paying attention to in this world. And I just feel like I don't personally think that it's safe to put a child in that position at all. If you're gonna have the mindset where it's not sexualized, you gotta at least be cognizant of the idea that that's not the world you're in, and you can't will the world to be what you want it to be. But what you can do is suggest that you're trying to normalize behavior that is inappropriate. And so that's what I would tell DJ Envy, without getting too far into the different thoughts that I truly have. The most safe conversation is to say, the world around you is not the world that you're hoping it would be when it comes to people visualizing your child wearing that outfit, paying homage to Lil' Kim. That's not, first of all, Lil' Kim is a very sexualized image in and of itself. And Lil' Kim was also a child taken advantage of. Before she was 18, she had already been through enough in that way. So, you know, when I think of the correlation between people being harmed and then it becoming normal to them as they grow older that this behavior is fine, and I think of the report that Lil' Kim kind of co-signed this behavior, that's what came to mind. Lil' Kim co-signed the display, and it's like, that speaks to the depravity of her and what happened to her, and how that doesn't ring an alarm that, yo, this child shouldn't be in this situation. Paying homage to me at 8 years old, wearing stuff that I wore when I was 18 or 17 or whatever the age was when she was in that video. It's a lot wrong with that. And that some people don't see that speaks to the depravity of their own minds. And what went wrong in their own childhood, and what it is that maybe they co-sign as they've grown older, and maybe even speaks to things that they're willing to do or are doing right now that are not cool in that way. So there's a lot of understanding that needs to come from this. But another thing is just the awareness of what people are going to think is in place, the conspiracies that come about when you allow your child to be seen like this by the whole world. You got a following of millions of people, having been a part of the Breakfast Club for the last however long he's been on the show, DJ Envy. You got to know that you got a following of millions of people. So for you to display your 8-year-old child like this, for all of them to see, the only thing people gonna really wonder is that child safe in your household? To dig a little deeper into the opinion, one has to wonder, is the child safe in his household? Or are they on some weirdo stuff up in there? That they would not only think that this was appropriate, but that they would think it would be appropriate for all of us to see. How depraved are they that they are detached from the idea that this is something we wouldn't appreciate? Is a question of conspiracy that you have to wonder, like, are they so gone that they don't know that this is not okay? So that's something that they have to respect people are thinking as well. And then you have to think about the conspiracy that has to do with who owns the contract of DJ Envy and what it is that's behind, what's the agenda behind DJ Envy? Does DJ Envy even have control over these circumstances like you would think he does? Or is there some weird stuff going on? Because we're already seeing how Hollywood is. We're already seeing the whole situation with Diddy. And here he is paying homage to one of Diddy's artists. You know, with the child there, it's like, are y'all trying to normalize something and using, you know, DJ Envy's family as a means of making that happen? And a lot of these people worship money so much and are so fearful of losing their notoriety and their money that it strangleholds them to some devious behaviors. And so with that being what it is that they value the most, they may be willing to do stuff that they have no business doing to keep the people who control their contracts happy. You know what I mean? To keep the people who hold their secrets happy. So is this one of those, DJ Envy? And then I look over at who I believe is probably holding them contracts, and I see Zionists. And if you follow my channel long enough, you already know I'm going to see the application of the two conversations there, and how horrible they're treating children, and how bad their reputation is, despite not being in touch with what we would think is appropriate. They think that the depravity that they engage in regards to this Palestinian conflict is appropriate, and that the lies that they tell that we would otherwise accept are appropriate, which are not as well. See the parallel there? Of the theory of DJ Envy and his circumstances and his mind being so lost that he thinks this would be something that we would think is cool. And the Zionists being so lost that they would think that we would think it's okay for them to do the things that they're doing, and that we would buy the Hamas narratives, that their human shields are being used and all this other stuff that, even as it is a lie that's meant for us to believe, we still don't believe it, nor do we think it's appropriate. The lie itself paints them out to be just as horrible of a human being in our eyes. Who do I think owns his contracts? Who do I think is behind the parent company that pays him? Likely them. Is this one of those situations where, by way of his image, they're trying to sully the reputation of his community, and furthermore drive home the nature of the depravity of what they want us to be represented in the rest of the world and amongst each other? Look at them. They're a bunch of PDF files. Look at them. They don't. You know, why would you vilify the Zionist who wants to destroy Hamas? Why would you take serious the minds of those who would have an opinion against that in those areas, when this is what they represent as a people? This is what they're willing to do for money. This is what they think of children. You see where my head goes? Because I know who's behind him. I know who's behind his bosses. It's these same people. So why wouldn't I see the correlation between that, the Diddy situation, and the correlation of depravity, to awaken to the idea that people aren't buying their own bull crap? So then they would apply that same formula to the people they control to furthermore show the depravity that they want to see in others versus what it is that's being revealed in regards to themselves. This is not beyond what they do. This is exactly how they operate. So that's exactly what came to mind for me. I'm like, oh, this is them using him to paint us to be as depraved as they are. Right? And for those of us who are paying close attention to what it is I'm paying attention to, who know how much they control in regards to the industry, this ain't far-fetched at all. This is exactly what it looks like. And so for me, it's like, man, first of all, I want to tell all of the Zionists out there, especially the ones in the industry, your depravity is yours all to yourself. If you found a couple compromised individuals that will do whatever it is you say, so long as you keep whatever they want going, or keep their lies in their pocket, that's already something we have worked into the equation as we consider you controlling these people. We already know you're going to use their corrupt, shallow, money-worshiping asses to do your bidding, to paint a picture of whoever it is skin they're wearing out to look worse than you look right now as you're continuing to kill these people over there. I already know you're doing that. Every time I see a celebrity who co-signs anything having to do with this, I think that's what you're doing. I know it's what you're doing. And so for me, it's like, this could be that, or it could not be. It could very well not be. It could be a coincidence in that area, where DJ Envy's really genuinely doing this and they're genuinely behind him. plastering all of this amongst all of the platforms that they have to display him to look as crazy as he looks when he does this. Just an opportunity provided. But I never, ever rule out the people behind the celebrity who hold his contract, who could smear his name, who know of the depravity of the behaviors that he's behaved in that we don't know nothing about, that they could very easily tear him down and put him in jail for the rest of his life, just like they can do any other celebrity, for all the evil stuff that they ultimately probably gave them opportunity to do, so they'd be compromised enough to be complicit to whatever it is, however it is, regardless how weird it looks. Do you see what I'm saying to you? This is how they operate with all their celebrities. They give them a bunch of stuff that make them guilty. They pump them up full of drugs. They put all their worst temptations around them and let them falter to them. And then they hold it over their head in an unspoken truth that you have to do whatever it is we tell you to do. So anytime I see a celebrity upholding something that's likely making them look either crazy, evil, or complicit to genocide, or upholding some type of depraved mentality that's supposed to be accepted amongst the most of us, or painting a picture out of communities that they're supposed to be attached to as something that's not good. Anytime I see anything like that, I just look at the people behind them and say, who's holding them contracts? Is it a Zionist? Somebody who's supporting Israel, right? Somebody who's a part of that community? Okay then. Those people right now are in a space where they look like the craziest people in the world. So they're going to do everything they can to normalize the craziness in all the rest of us, so that it brings down the craziness and ultimately what it is they're upholding, which is the craziest shit in the world. They're going to use all of their power to try to balance all that out by using all of the puppets they got in a way that makes them look a bit more normal in the depravity and insanity that they engage in. That is what they're going to do. That's the only thing they can do, because they can't make themselves look any saner by doing this. So they got to use everybody they have as a representative of all of us to look as crazy as humanly possible to balance it all out. Well, see, nobody respects children. See, nobody respects land. We're all awful in our own way. So you should accept us for the awful things we're doing on high behind your back with your money. No, friend, no. No. That ain't gonna work. Some of us smart enough to see that. Some of us know that's what you're trying to do. Make all of our politicians look like they're complicit in genocide. No, they're compromised. You have them by the sack, by way of the different evil stuff that they are likely doing that you know about that we don't know about, and they are afraid of losing it all. So they're gonna go along with whatever you tell them. Whatever you tell them. If it means exploiting a child, or supporting the killing and slaughtering of children in the Middle East, or supporting the slaughtering of children in Sudan and Africa, they're gonna do it because they don't want to lose not only their money and their voice and their fame for which they're obsessed with, and likely whatever connections they have to being able to do whatever they need to do to keep the fix that they got to have with the drug problem that they likely have. Whatever they need to do to keep that ecosystem in place so they can continue to live comfortably, they're gonna do. Nor are they all that bright in a lot of cases, so they're not gonna see why they shouldn't. Because if they were that smart, you wouldn't have chosen them. So that's what it really comes down to. They're gonna do whatever you tell them to do. But what you need to understand is that there are a few of us actually having that conversation about you and about them. And we're not fooled by their behavior because we know who's behind it and we know why they're doing it. Or at least we have some notion. There's some notion. So while y'all coinciding the dysfunction of supported genocide with the depravity of individuals who you want to control with your propaganda and the different things that you ultimately own that tempt all of us to be our worst, some of us are really paying attention to the whole web of all of this and are saying to the people who are listening to them, this is what you're doing. And DJ Envy, I'm telling you, brother, all you've shown to a person like myself is that there's a lot to look at in regards to yourself. There's a lot to look at. Just like the last time we saw something that had something to do with your name that was not good, it was a lot to look at. That whole situation where you were selling houses with old scam artist over there in New Jersey, nobody forgot about that shit, bro. Ain't nobody forgot about any of that. Where did that case go? Is this why you're doing that? Because they covered that up and now you got to do whatever it is they tell you to do? Is that why this shit is happening? Because you are a man from the streets. New York. You know goddamn well that this world is full of pedophiles. You know how much sickness is out there. Why are you offering up your child for those individuals to see? If not for somebody in your back pocket or someone who got a knife to your back telling you better do it or I'm gonna blow this whole thing up. Come on, man. You might be able to run it across somebody who doesn't know that people from the streets know what evils are in the world. People from big cities like LA and New York know what types of evils are in the world. But you ain't gonna run that past somebody who's also from one of them cities, bro. I know you know better than to do that shit. That's what I would say directly to DJ Envy. I know you know better than to do that shit. Whoever told you to do that or whoever put it up to you that you should do something like that, they're evil enough to go through with the process of whatever the hell it is that they're threatening you with, whether you do what it is that they tell you to do or not. And that's what I want to tell each and every one of these people that are held by the balls by these Zionists or held by the balls by any entity that would otherwise hold them by the balls. If they had so little integrity to put you in that position, they have every bit of the depravity to not honor your complicity to being in that position. You might be able to buy yourself some time, but eventually what it is that they're going to do, that they're threatening they're going to do, they're likely going to do it anyway. You do better standing on something in regards to what it is you're not willing to do and fall on the damn sword that ultimately in the 9 out of 10 times in these cases, you deserve to fall on any damn way. Because it's usually guilt that they can use against people. It ain't usually, in my humble opinion, I don't believe that it's temptation of things going right and them promising you things that will go right that ultimately make you give up your soul. It's the fear of things going wrong that makes people be willing to give up their soul. Some people will sell their soul for $1. You know what I mean? But most people will sell their soul to keep from somebody else they love suffering or to keep grandma's house up. You know what I mean? That's the type of thing that works in that way more than not. And those in position to do that to you know that. They're not going to just give you something you want. No. They're going to threaten you with something you definitely don't want to lose. Their freedom or something. You know, they're going to put that type of thing in your face. Say, hey, I'm going to do this, and this. It's your worst fear, right? Yeah, we're going to make all that real. If you don't go ahead and do exactly what it is that we're talking about, you will uphold all of these things. And you will take on the chin, whatever come with it, or we're going to do this to you. It's that fear. And so for me, I don't respect it in the sense that if you know they're willing to do something like that, you going along doing all types of evil stuff in their name to try to keep them from doing that doesn't effectively protect any damn thing if it just prolongs the inevitable and piles up the fact at that point that you would deserve whatever it is that you're worried about falling. Fall. You deserve it for all the bad stuff that you did in the name of trying to keep it going. But see, they use that lack of faith, that lack of God, that godlessness, and that worship of money. They use that against these people. They know they don't respect nothing but money. They know they don't respect nothing but power. You know what I mean? And because they know that, they're going to always use those things against you. They know y'all ain't got no morals if it's not for the presence of winning in a world where poverty ensues from not having money. If you don't worship money in the world that they trying to control, you're going to die of poverty. You're going to die forgotten. You're going to die without experiencing anything good. You're going to live rotten. That's what they trying to put it all in our minds to believe, so that we'll coincide with all the evil stuff that ultimately allows them to paint us out to be evil people and thieves and whatever the hell else they got going on in regards to how they trying to paint us out to be what they are. So they can justify all the stuff that they intend to do to your people, using you as an example of why it should be fine to do it. And we keep letting them do it, and it's the leverage of losing money that ultimately has you by the sack. It's a leverage of losing an opportunity to continue engaging in stuff that you probably should try to discipline yourself against any damn way. Stuff that you ain't probably better for having any damn way. Truth be told, if we're smart enough to be able to discipline ourselves, and we're smart enough to stay away from the things that ultimately they use to compromise us. Y'all want to be the biggest this. Y'all want to appear the the coolest that. Y'all want to look the richest this. In the presence of where people discard of people for their status. These are the things that allow you to keep acceptable status. And they use the threat of you losing that status as a means of keeping you complicit to the evil that they do. You cannot coincide with that if you want the freedom of your own reputation being on your own merits. As long as you are a slave to their money, as long as you're a slave to their measures, as long as you're a slave to their norms, as it pertains to what it is that aligns people with their pleasures. I'm wealthy, I'm this, I got it better than these people. Look at they poor, and I ain't about to beat them. I'm gonna get my money at all costs. And then those costs are gonna be exactly what they use as tools to keep you doing the stuff they need you to do. So they can continue painting you and your people out to be the worst people in the world, so they can keep on putting their foot on your neck without anyone deviating from that support. And the first thing they do is go back to the people who don't support you naturally because of racist ideals and say, see, this is why you should keep hating them. Look at how they treat their kids. Look how they treat each other. This is what they do to you. This is what they do to your kids. And they use all their damn puppets to uphold that nonsense. Look how sick these black people are. See how sick they are? This is why we need to keep on voting against them having rights. This is why we need to work slavery back onto the ballots. This is why, you know what I'm saying? They use that shit to justify the people who already don't like you further support for the mistreatment of you. That's how that works. While you sitting up here trying to please them. I'm listening to people talk about, people who are supposed to be supporting the freedoms of Palestinian people. Now sitting up here saying, don't vote bash. Don't vote bash. You're voting for people who are committing genocide and killing kids every day. It's very much okay to bash people who are supporting them. It's okay to tell people, yo, this should be something that's shamed. Lord knows they'll shame you for everything else. It's not okay for us to shame people who are killing children. It's not okay for us to look at our people who are trying to run for office and say we hold you to a standard that doesn't allow for this to be done or funded, or like we're bad guys for telling all of them they shouldn't do this. And meanwhile, they shun you for every damn thing. They'll normalize treating you poorly for every damn thing. But you don't have a right to stand up for lives. Yeah, you don't have a right to kneel for black lives. You don't have the right to stand up and support the preservation of Palestinian people. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a right, none of that. All of that stuff that holds them accountable for all that evil stuff they be wanting to do, they will normalize the environment where it's okay to allow it to happen. And they'll shame those who try to hold it accountable with every bit of measure of power that they have. And the people have to be understanding of the fact that that is an agenda in place that doesn't work for the people at all. It stands behind you as a human shield while it does all the evil stuff that it knows someone's going to strike them for. That's all they doing. Standing behind you. See, the people voted Kamala in. No, we didn't know. We didn't know what the hell Kamala was really doing. They didn't tell us the truth about what the hell she was on. They tried to shun everybody who tried to tell us the truth. They told us every lie they could about that situation. They tried to play in our faces and gaslighted us about our own things that we support in regards to human life. On one hand, they having us voting out of fear of losing our reproductive rights. On the other hand, those same people are going to the Middle East, killing children. And they're telling us, well, if you vote for the other guy, who's also going to kill children, he going to take away your reproductive rights. Like, both of y'all some baby-killing bastards, and we don't have reproductive rights if you're running shit. Our best bet is to make sure neither one of y'all get a chance to control the highest level of office. But of course, since it's you in control, the last thing you're going to do is tell us the truth about what would be in our best interest in regards to you. You got to be smart enough to see this shit coming, man. And unfortunately, I don't think that word is getting out far enough in time to protect us from the reputation that comes with supporting genocide. Protect us from the wrath of those who would otherwise want to strike those who are supporting genocide. No, they ain't doing none of that to support us in that way. They just allow us to think that everything that we're focused on should be about ourselves and not the evil stuff that they're doing to other people in our name with our dollars. And we're supposed to be cool with that for some strange reason. You are signing up to be a human shield. Just like when you sign up to be a part of their army, you sign up to be a human shield. They're going to throw you at the accountability. They're going to have you pointing guns at those who are meant to stop the bad guys from doing evil. That's all they're doing. And they say, see, they supported it. They paid into all the companies that were supporting Israel. They paid in, they voted for all of the people who supported Israel. So obviously the American people were complicit as a united front. That's the hell we were. The hell we were. We weren't given half the information we needed to have the scope necessary. None of our celebrities that we were all focused on said anything about this. None of our politicians were honest about this circumstance. They didn't give us the truth. They just stood behind us while pretending we knew it. We didn't know nothing. Only people who knew anything were people telling you something. Like myself. You didn't know what was going on. You were coerced into that space. And they know that those who will hold you accountable won't care whether you knew or not. It's just like any other situation where if you find out that the girl that you were dating lied to you about her age, they're not going to give you a pass because you didn't know. It's the same thing. Just because you were not aware of what your company is doing with your tax dollars doesn't mean that you weren't paying for it, and they're going to hold you accountable. That's what I'm telling y'all, man. We need to get aware. Start seeing how this web all ties in with our celebrities and their behavior. These lawyers and doctors, all a part of Zionist communities who ultimately want to keep us in the space where we're continuing to support them doing the things that they want to do. And using our need for greed to feed our greed as a means of keeping us complicit with their shit. All of it needs to stop, man. All of it. They're dragging us into a reputation that is awful. A lot worse than anything we're signing up for naturally. A lot worse. And all of those who are in line with it, they're going down with it. That's the reality of it. We can keep on pretending, but that ain't what it is. Those who are aligned with it are going down with it. So that's really what it is, man. DJ Envy, them Zios behind you, bro. They don't mean no good for nobody, bro. I don't know what type of energy you got going on, but those who are behind you, who have your contracts in hand, they trying to kill a world of people, bro. Maybe you trying to keep your life going as it pertains to what you've worked for, and maybe you know what I mean, from the streets. So you a hustler, man. You gonna use whatever you can to get a dollar. All that culture that you were raised with is only in place to keep you complicit with them. That's literally it. When you scratch and sniff at the truth and you get deep down these damn rabbit holes, that's all you're going to find out. Is they made you love money, and they made you love status and value status so that you would do all of the depraved things that they need you to do. That is literally all it's ever been about. It wasn't about exalting you. It was never necessary that this capitalism be in place for us to get the little that's left out here. There's plenty out here. That was never the dynamic. That was just the dynamic they needed us to have so that we work our asses off for them or sell our souls for them as they use us as display to destroy our reputation for them. That is all it's ever been about. There's plenty of food to go around. There's plenty of wealth to go around. Everybody could be a millionaire, and billionaires will still be billionaires. You understand what I'm saying? It's a lie, bro. Our whole lives is a lie. As it pertains to how much we need to do to get so we can feed ourselves, that shit is a lie. And that we uphold it when we come to the notion that it is a lie is complicity to the suffering of not only ourselves and our children, but the people around the world who don't have a say-so. Allowing these Zios to continue to control everything allows for suffering for generations to come past the day we're in right now. You're listening to my voice. Aligning with them is a choice. And then everything they holding on to is cursed. And there is another way to enjoy life. There is another way to view your loved ones and your strangers. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There's another way than to look and see who has money and who don't. And then go from there. That shit is bullshit. That's a corruptible, masked mind screw to keep people aligned with paying into things that are horrible in nature. That is literally all that is. As long as y'all keep looking at each other in that way, you can be compromised by the various different ways to uphold that status. Stop buying into that culture. Whether you have all the money in the world or don't have any at all, you need to unlearn that shit. And as you do, you start finding out what your real power is in this world, what your real purpose is in this world, what the ladder of evolution really looks like as it pertains to your people, what the ladder of evolution really looks like as it pertains to the human race as a whole. This effectively holds us back. And the proof is now everywhere. We can find solutions for our sicknesses. Some of the depravities of our minds and the different things we have struggles with, we can find solutions for those. But as long as the goal is to not lose status and money, you're going to always be at a deficiency as it pertains to viewing things properly because of what it is that's in place to make you look at people and say, nope, I got to do this to keep that. I got to do this to keep that. I got to allow this to keep that. I got to be quiet about them because if I don't, I'm going to lose that. And if we lose that, then it's all bad. That's a no-no. We don't play the game that way. We got to keep quiet about what they're doing because they control the banks. They control this. They control the law. They control that. They own the government. This. They have a contract. That shit is why they have so much control. When you say put a finger to all of that, then we start seeing that they can't control anything. They can't control everything when you give a finger to all of that. They can't make you sell the image of your child. They can't make you work for 20 hours a day to make $3. You know what I'm saying? They can't make you coincide with the lesser of two evil, corrupt politicians. They can't make you do none of that when you start giving a finger to all these damn things that they control. Not because you don't appreciate what comes with it, but because you are aware they're in place using all of that to control you. You are aware. And that awareness is valuable. That awareness holds so much value. In your life, you will know that that awareness is what gives you a path to a good reputation in the future. Allows for your children to have a good last name when all of this blows up in their damn faces. The most valuable thing in the world is to know what the hell they're doing to you. And knowing how to effectively step over the bullshit that they have in place for you to step in. That is what we need to learn. not how to uphold the nonsense. A lot of y'all do what y'all do because it's the only way you knew how to do it. It's the way your grandparents were taught how to do it. These things have been in place for as long as your grandparents were alive. They too were cloaked by the nonsense. They too thought they didn't have no other way. They too had these people over their heads. So therefore what you learned taught you how to live in the world that they were in. But if you're going to change the world so that your kids don't have to keep on selling their souls and their kids' souls down the river, it's going to be you, your generation, that changes the way things are done. You're not going to uphold it. You're not going to keep on doing this, what they need you to do so that they can control all of you. You're not going to allow them to do it. So that's really what I got to say, man. A lot of people call themselves being brave hearts. They go out in the street, deal with that. They deal with sickness. They're fighting cancer, everybody's got a fight and a plight in their lives. Few people know of the notion of what true freedom actually is. True freedom is having your voice, your integrity, and all of those things aligned with your choices, down to every dollar and every hour spent working. That's what true freedom is. The freedom to be yourself, to pray as you want to pray or not, all of these different energies. Freedom. And as long as there's an entity that you will adhere to, that you will allow get away with any damn thing because they control every damn thing, you will never have freedom. That's the reality of it. As long as there are people in this world that you won't hold accountable for slaughtering children because they own everything, you will never be free. All of your efforts in the name of having freedom is lost because there are people above you who you will adhere to for whatever reasons. And I think that the God that I serve wants us free of that energy. He wants us to discipline ourselves against the things that they use to keep us all complicit with their nonsense. That is what they were chosen for. It's the great obstacle to overcome for us to choose accountability, to choose discipline, to choose goodness, compassion, love, to choose treating people right, to see the fruit in doing all of it that way. That's what they were chosen actually for. To be a true north is an understanding of why we should choose against the ways that are ultimately bad for us. Not just to listen to religion tell us not to do it, but to see them, the chosen ones, as a base for why all of that sucks in the goodness in our lives and gives something that we should never be willing to give to another soul, basically, which is our entire soul. Praying at the altar of them. Every time you buy into anything they have going on, every time you adhere to their bullshit, every time you listen to them tell you, well, you need to do this or we're going to take that. Every time you see them support the killing of anybody, of any kind in regards to their hand, and not hold them accountable because you're afraid of what they're going to take from you, you are upholding what it is that God ultimately wants you free of. You overcome the Zionists, you find true freedom. That's what I've learned. You overcome the entity that ultimately controls all of your world, and you truly find out what the fruits of this world is really about. Half of them who are engaging in that nonsense don't even have these thoughts in their head. It ain't even that deep for them. A lot of them don't even know halfway why they're doing what they're doing. They just know it's in a book. They follow it just like anybody else who's following their religion. They ain't thinking for their damn selves. They ain't putting two and two together. Hell, they teach each other how not to in a lot of cases. I don't expect for them to understand any of this. That's the gift that God has given me, the understanding that a lot of us don't have in regards to seeing the correlation between what it is they're doing and ultimately what it is the Lord wants us to overcome. It is what they've been chosen for. And if they had any inclination of what it is, they probably wouldn't engage in it as strongly as they do. I'm telling all y'all, Zionist Jews, you need to understand something. You control a lot of what's going on in this world, but not because the Lord wants you to hold on to it. It's because the Lord wants us to overcome you. You give yourself passes for all the evil stuff in the world just off the notion that you're chosen for something. You don't even know what you're chosen for. And you lie to each other about what it is you believe in, but you're not adhering to the Lord. You don't know him. You're tapping into something else when you pray. You're tapping into something else when you listen and adhere to what it is that you've been given. You're not tapping into the living God that created all of us. You're tapping into the energy that wants to take him from us and take us from him. That is exactly what you're tapping into. Some call it the devil, some call it Shaitan, some call it whatever. But at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. You are an eraser. Without the understanding that it's in your best interest to stop erasing. And you control all these temporary entities and beings that want whatever it is they have, as if they're going to live forever, as if they ain't going to be in the ground anyway someday. But believe me, man, some of us are immortal intentions. Regardless if our bodies live or not. We know what we're doing. We're passing forward something. Just like you're passing forward something. And we speak to that forever understanding, not just today's microwave mind, no, a forever understanding. We don't want our kids bound by you in the future. We don't want our grandkids bound by the things that we bound by today. We don't want to adhere to you just because you control everything. If you control everything, you don't control the notion that you shouldn't. That you're irresponsible what it is you control and need ultimately to be overcome in this world. I'm telling all of you, man, y'all don't know what the end game is for what it is you're doing in a lot of cases. Y'all just trying to get what everybody else has so you can look good in their eyes. You're going to be in the ground. You're passing something forward, and people have to overcome all of what it is you're passing forward because you continue to insist that we do things this way. Our kids are going to have it harder. Our grandkids are going to have it harder just because we want to continue to chase a buck here and there and don't give a damn about our reputation. Going in the ground, man. Just like the slave masters that came before you, just like the conquerors that came before them, you're going in the ground. What are you passing forward? This ain't about you and your life and what it is that you want and your generational wealth that they're going to end up taking from your ass anyway because they control all the banks. Stop selling your soul for these people, bro. BDL 44, I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.